welcome back to my channel. If you are new here and like the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to the Halloween special. This is the first of 2 parts. Now, I originally wasn't going to do a Halloween special, but it seems I've been challenged and I cannot turn down a challenge. So enjoy this failed attempt of a demon AU. The sky was littered with stars, with the moon brightly shining Akashi's path on this rather dark night. He wanted to stay after class to ask his professor questions regarding assignments he was confused on, but ended up getting sidetracked because of his own studying at the library. He truly wished he hadn't had to resort to asking his professor for help because he was more or less of a creep. Now it was way past nighttime, and he just started on his way home when he got stopped by a pitiful sound. His eyes swiftly skimmed down a dark alleyway. There were no people, yet the noise continued. Hello? He risked taking a step into the dark alleyway that even the bright moon couldn't shine down on. A few cautious steps in, he decided on turning back when he jumped out of his skin, feeling something caress his lower leg. He jumped back, seeing a cat. Oh, it's just a cat. He laughed at himself for being so jumpy. Maybe he was just restless after a whole day stuck behind closed doors with his creep professor. He crouched down, petting the purring cat beneath its chin. You're such a sweetheart, aren't you? The cat meowed in response. Do you have a home? He wasn't too fond of taking care of animals when he was barely able to manage the bare minimum for himself, but he also couldn't leave a stray out on the streets. Not when he'd already become too attached. He stood up. Come on, we're going home. The cat surprisingly followed, not giving the raven much of an option. Once the two arrived at Akashi's little apartment, the college student began making himself some dinner while setting aside some raw tuna for the kitten. After finishing his supper, Akashi walked over to the kitten, who was still happily chowing down on its meal. Do you have a name? The kitten looked up at the gentle sound of the human's voice and tilted his head. Why am I asking like you would actually respond? He laughed to himself, concluding that it was just the long day that was getting to him. He rose from the crouch position and walked to his bedroom, ready to sleep away today's exhausting events. Once he laid in bed, he jumped in surprise when the kitten jumped onto the mattress and found a comfortable spot that just so happened to be the top of Akashi's chest. The weight on his chest was like no other cat he'd ever felt. Jeez, you're heavy. That must have been some good tuna. He chuckled, petting the cat underneath his ears. Seeing the kitten up close, he was finally able to observe some features that was difficult in a dark alley. The cat had a mixture of blonde and light orange fur with a singular stripe of dark brown going down its spine and brown-tipped ears. Its eyes were a shining golden color. You're a pretty kitty, aren't you? The cat replied with a purr, rubbing its head against the former setter's hand. Akashi always shared a big part of his heart with cats, given he'd grown up with them. Maybe this cat appearing in his life was a sign not to live alone anymore. It would be nice. Eventually, the sleep in his eyes grew too much, and he fell asleep with the kitten snuggling on his side. Akashi woke up with a start. He looked towards his window. It was open, showing the apparent dark skies of the night. He guessed he was only asleep for a few hours, but he doesn't remember opening the window. Deeply thinking about it, he doesn't think he's ever opened it. He looked down to the kitten, who was still asleep. At least someone can stay asleep with this unbearable breeze. He rose up, going to shut the window when he heard a whisper that echoed in his room. It was like someone was calling out to him. He shook his head. No. This was just a dream. He will wake up soon. He felt a large hand grab onto his shoulder with large talons digging into his collarbone. The ravenet screamed, using the baseball bat that was propped against the windowsill, and slammed it over the thing that grabbed him, making the wood break. Breaking free from the gnarly grasp, he turned looking at the person, or rather thing, that grabbed a hold of him. He sharply inhaled and fell to the ground, petrified at the sight before his eyes. His own eyes were locked in a golden, menacing glare. His pupils were in the shape of a thin line, and his long fangs were shown through his snarl. He had white hair with the stripes of black hair hanging right above his eyes, while bulky, steel-black horns protruded from his head. Akashi's legs felt like jelly, even though he was no longer standing on them. He was scared. The demon's jet-black wings blocked his path, giving him no chance of escaping. He was in danger. He was going to die. The baseball bat didn't even make him flinch. How could he take down this demon? Demon. No, that was illogical. There was no such thing. This must be a dream. It has to be. A really, really realistic one. Where is he? The voice was deep, dangerously low, sending shivers down his spine. Where's who? The demon's fist collided into the wall above Akashi's head, making him sink even lower to the ground. Don't play dumb, human. Where is Kinma? His voice was kept at a low grumble that Akashi could have swore that shook the whole house. The demon turned away when he heard a small, soft voice coming from the corner of the human's room. Ko? The demon's features immediately softened upon hearing the voice and went towards his side. Kinma! Kinma? Akashi dared to glance towards his bed. He didn't know how, but there was a human on his bed, or what appeared to be a human. At first glance, they were human, if it wasn't for the ears or tail on them. Wait, the cat! What are you doing? Akashi grabbed a hold of his chair that was tucked underneath his desk and slammed it over the demon, and proceeded to run over to his bed to grab the kitten and run out of the apartment. But there was no kitten. Just the human that had a hint of similarity as the kitten from before. You're... He was cut off by the demon from before, grabbing him by his throat and pinning him against the wall. It knocked the air out of him, and dots started dancing in his vision. He couldn't breathe. He was so stupid. He risked his life for a kitten that wasn't even a cat. It was another demon. The air was leaving his body. He was dying. The pressure in his throat was suddenly released, making him gasp for air, and that made the battle fighting the darkness a little easier. Akashi looked up, seeing the kitten that he assumed went by the name Kenma in front of him. Kotaro, no. Don't kill this human. Are you crazy? This human tried to... This human fed me and helped me when I was lost. Kema turned towards Akashi, nudging his head against his hand, silently asking to be petted. The human decided against it, still trying to wrap his hand around what was happening, from the fact that the kitten he picked up just so happened to be a demon, and an acquaintance, from what he can tell, is out to kill him, to get the kitten back. But he couldn't say no to those pleading eyes. He found his hand running through the long, soft blonde locks, and was glad to hear the kitten purr, or demon. He wasn't sure what he was. I like this human. The demon whined. First you pick up a vampire, and now a human? Kenma nodded. You were talking about me? Akashi peeked over the two demons in front of him, seeing yet another one hop into his bedroom window and walk up to him. Come on, another demon? His entire life, he'd never even heard of demons before, and now there were 3 in his room? The last demon was dressed in dark clothes, and he has hair sticking out in every direction with beady red eyes and 2 noticeable fangs standing out from the rest of his teeth. This was a vampire. The vampire walked up towards him and sniffed at Akashi's neck. What are you doing? You smell good. Type O negative. That's my favorite. So rich and sweet. Kema stepped in front of him. He isn't your food. He is mine. Akashi frowned. He didn't want to be treated like some object, but couldn't find the courage to speak up for himself, knowing that all 3 of them could easily end his life in a heartbeat. He sunk to the ground and ran his hands through his hair that seemed to be longer than he remembered. This would be the moment he would wake up, right? This is all just a terrible nightmare that would end soon. Kenma was glued to his side on the floor, while the other 2 demons were sitting on his bed. I hope you know we aren't leaving until we get Kenma back. What? Too bad. I don't want to leave. I like this human. Whoa, wait. And I have a name. Kenma looked up at him and smiled. I guess we should formally introduce ourselves. I'm Kozume Kenma. I'm a Bakeneko. I'm Kuro Tetsuro. I'm a vampire. The human turned towards the demon from before, who seemed to tower over him. The name is BokuAkaKuroKen. I'm a dark fae, and you might know me by my father. He is the one who is Satan's right-hand man, Asmodeus. Akashi raised his eyebrow. I'm sorry, who? All 3 demons turned towards the human, perplexed. Asmodeus, king of demons. Have you never heard of him? I'm afraid not. He laughed nervously. But this is just a story, and you are all just cosplaying that jumped through my window, which I could call the cops for, because that's illegal. Cosplaying? He bursted into a loud laughter that echoed Akashi's tiny bedroom that was made for only 1 person, so 4 grown adults in 1 room was a bit much. I can assure you, we're the real thing. The raven rolled his eyes. I don't believe you. Wait, Akashi lived on the 5th floor. How did you get to my window? The corner of Boku's lips turned upward as his wings spread wide, almost as if it were on command. This is a realistic cosplay. No, that's entirely illogical. This dream had been going on for too long. Just wake up already. He froze, feeling a strong arm wrap around his waist and strong hands that were the same as before, but this time his talons were digging into his skin. What are you? He yelped, feeling his feet leave the floor, and soon it wasn't just him levitating, Bokuto was too. The Fae dashed out of the apartment from the window and flew into the dark, starry night with Akashi screaming in his arms. "Put me down!" "Not until you believe us." He teased. The raven looked down, seeing the landscape of a city far below him. If he were to fall, he would surely perish. He locked his arms around the demon's neck, feeling his fear of heights that he never knew he had kick into full swing. "I believe you. Just put me down, please." Bokuto was no fool. He could sense the strained feeling from the human well. Because he fed on fear and sorrow, Akashi was practically oozing fear. Bokuto flew back inside the window and gently placed the smaller on the ground. "Did you have to scare him?" The Neko rushed to the human's side to check if he was okay, nudging his head against his chest, but instead felt a warm liquid. "You're bleeding." Bokuto's eyes widened. It was whenever he was infuriated, thinking someone kidnapped his lover and had bad intentions, letting his talons sink into his skin. "That's that smell." Kuro covered his nose, fighting the urge to hold back almost too much. "That's my bad. I'm sorry." A demon apologizing. Hilarious. First, they barge into his home, harm him, scare him, and then they have the audacity to think a mere apology would fix everything. He was livid. He wanted to lash out, but he also didn't want to make the incident like this change him and bring out the worst in him. "Just do whatever you came here for. It was to take Kima back, right?" "Yeah. I'm not leaving." Akashi sighed. He really shouldn't have picked up some random stray cat. "Can you please do something about that?" He pointed to Akashi's injury, which made Bokuto step into action. "What are you doing? Don't touch me!" "Don't interfere. I'm trying to heal you." "I don't need your magic!" He yelled out, slapping his hand away. "Well, it's either my magic or deal with him." He pointed to Kuro, who was biting at his finger to suppress the urge of letting his instincts take over. He can't control himself when he's like that, especially when it's a human's blood he smells. He couldn't argue with that logic. But what the hell even is logic anymore? Within seconds, his wound was fully healed, making him doubt everything he ever knew. Kenma stood up and closed the window, blocking the rising sun from shining into the room. "Aren't you leaving?" "I already said I wasn't, and it's kind of too late for them. I can easily disguise myself into a cat to blend into the human world, however Ko and Tetsu can't. It wouldn't make sense to see two flying demons in broad daylight, would it? Besides, Tetsu can't be in the sunlight." Kuro chuckled. "I can, it just makes me weak." "So, you're staying? All three of you?" "It appears so." Akashi sighed. Just what mess had he gotten into? For some peculiar reason, Akashi thought it was smart to leave his home in the hands of 3 demons. As much as he wished for another option, there wasn't one. He couldn't miss class no matter how odd the situation may be, like, for instance, the cat you picked up turning into a demon. Just everyday things. Sitting in class taking notes, Akashi got his professor's iron gaze, honestly making him prefer dealing with Bokuto's wrath, or maybe even Kuro's uncontrollable thirst for his blood. "Alright, class dismissed." The student hadn't even noticed that class had finished. Time flashed before his eyes. Except for you, Mr. Akashi. Keiji froze. Of course he had to get stuck behind with this creep. Once the other students left the room, the professor shut the doors. Did last night's meeting help you with your studies? Yes. Thank you for helping me. He lied. He couldn't necessarily tell his professor that instead of using those new methods, he was flying out the night skies of Tokyo with the Prince of Demons. That would be one hell of a story. Anything for my favorite student. Akashi gazed up at the old man that was his teacher. His once jet black hair was now a dark gray, reminding him of a salt and pepper shaker. He had lines tracing his aged features with thin-rimmed glasses balancing on the edge of his nose. The teacher leaned in onto Akashi's desk. My Keiji, you have beautiful eyes. Akashi, please. And thank you. I got them for my mother. She must be a beautiful woman. Yes, she was. The professor cleared his throat, suddenly feeling uncomfortable. If you don't mind, sir, I really need to get home. I have a new kitten that needs attention. Yes, of course. Let me know if you need any more help. Akashi nodded his head, already regretting asking for help in the first place. What even was his deal? It bothered him. More than he'd like to admit. Once the Raven got home, he was surprised to see the vampire and Neko cuddling on his couch fast asleep. Unfortunately, the Fae was still awake. Bokuto had a bowl of cereal in his hands, walking around the kitchen shirtless with damp hair. At least he wasn't trying to kill him anymore. The student made his way to his desk to work on those methods that he learned the night prior. He sure as hell didn't risk getting involved with the professor for no reason. Bokuto peeked over Akashi's shoulder. Can you not breathe down my neck? What are you doing? Homework. Well, that sounds boring. Akashi rolled his eyes. What would you know? Demons have school. We spend our first 100 years of life in school. I did not like those days. He felt curious. Bokuto-san, how old are you? Bokuto had to think on that question. Around 161? I usually lose count, it's been long. He chuckled at his own cluelessness. When... You can't be serious. Just how long do demons live? Well, it depends on the species. Dark Faes are roughly 400, so my old man is about to kick the bucket. He laughed, and Akashi couldn't help but wonder what type of relationship he had with his father. By that joke, he didn't think it was good. Vampires are immortal, so Tatsuro won't die, but there are ways to kill them, but it's not easy. With Kenma's case, it's kind of complicated. He is actually part Bakineko and part Archdemon. Archdemon. He's heard that term before. But from where? Bakinekos live up to 13 years, but that contradicts with his Archdemon blood. So it's all uncertain. Wow, humans' life expectancy is roughly 70 years. Bokuto giggled. You humans are so fragile. That soft voice and kind expression made the smaller pause and question whether or not this was the same person as last night who resembled nothing more than the devil himself. Yeah. He was confused. He wasn't sure what to believe anymore. Is something wrong? His mind flashed to the professor. No, why would something be wrong? Come on, Keiji. I'm the Prince of Demons. I feed off of negative emotions. His chest fluttered at the use of his given name. It bothered him before, so why was this different? Well, eat up the stress of a college student, there will be plenty to spare. He laughed at his own joke, but Bokuto didn't seem to buy it. What? This isn't stress. Bokuto leaned in and sniffed the smaller. This smells like fear and uneasiness. Are you still scared of us? What? No! Why did he get so defensive about that? You guys are actually not bad. I'm not scared of you. The Fae paused. Keiji, is someone making you scared? There was a dark glint in Bokuto's golden eyes. No, don't be ridiculous, Bokuto-san. Keiji. Akashi bent his lips into a tight line, feeling his anxiety grow with the conversation continuing, which the demon undoubtedly noticed. He sighed. Look, I can't force you to tell me, but please promise that if it gets bad, you'll tell me. This was unexpected. Why would a demon care so much about a human's affairs? Okay. Akashi felt a weight on his lap. He looked down to see the Neko still rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Well, there went his plans of studying. You didn't tell me you were home. Kenma wrapped his head against Akashi's, letting his ear flick in satisfaction until wrapped protectively around him. You were asleep. You could have woken me. Yeah, right. You spend 2/3 of your life asleep. Akashi laughed lightly, seeing the Neko retreat back into Akashi's neck. How precious. Kenma raised his head, blushing at the human's comment. Where's Tetsu? Isn't he asleep? He's been awake this whole time. He doesn't sleep. That is true. Ken just gets lonely. Akashi looked outside the window. It was getting dark. That means they would leave soon, and Keiji would be alone again. That's how he likes it anyways. So this is fine. It's fine. It was a dark, empty void that endlessly went on. The hellfire of the underworld raged on. The flames burned everyone that dared to seek out the ruler of the underworld, Satan himself. The inferno was scalding hot to even stand. Only those chosen are allowed to venture on forward. Special permission must be granted to be in the presence of Satan. Your Majesty, I need your help. Mammon, how odd to see you in that skin. I need this to keep my cover for a little longer. Mammon, the demon known of the deadly sin, greed. He felt his lips turn upward in a diabolical way. This is to get what he wants. Your needs are never ending. What is it you need my help for? Mammon ran his hand through his salt and pepper locks. He hated how his human form made him appear so old. I've had my eye on a human. I want him. I won't rest until I get him. Can you help me? Being the ruler of the underworld can be uneventful, especially in these ages, so for once, one of his archdemons offered a deal for some fun. Where do we begin? That is the end of the first part. I was going to try to have the second part ready to upload the next day. However, the mountain load of my assignments really just said no, so I will definitely try to get the second part up early next week. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you'd like to be kept up to date, check out any of my social medias. I hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening.